Yo, welcome back to the Further Your Lifestyle podcast, conversations on lifestyle, passions, and hustles. My name's Chris Furlong, I'm your host, and I'm super excited to be back here having the conversation with you. Episode 82 today, and today we're talking about things will always pass. The good things, the bad things, and we're going to dive into that and dive a little deeper actually to help you understand that we shouldn't be taking things for granted that we have. And sometimes we don't even realize the things that we have until we have lost them. So that's what we're talking about today. So buckle up and let's dive in. Don't you love it when, things are going in your favor and you feel like you're at the peak of your mountain? Things are just working out for you. It might be in our jobs and everything seems to be all together, that we've got everything together with maybe an exercise routine, or you're feeling like you're at your fittest or at your prime. Or maybe it's with business and things are going really well. You're getting lots of sales, you're earning some more revenue, or your profit is up. Whatever it is, you know what that feeling is, right? It might be some area in your life. Now, I hate to break it to you, but even though you've had this or you're experiencing this, this will pass. This won't always be the case. And that's the reality of it. Things like this won't always stick around. As much as we want it to be our peak, we want it to be the best, the reality is that is not the case. And we should never take those high moments for granted. We should never take those moments and just expect that it's going to be like that forever, because that would be a false perspective or a false understanding. However, at the same time, when we dive into some of the deep valleys that we have to go through in order to achieve our greatness, these will pass too. So things not going to plan, that won't always be the case. There'll be times where things won't work out in your favor, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be around forever. That too will pass. The same with struggles that you have here and there. Those will pass. Unexpected twists and turns, things that pop up out of nowhere, whether it's emergencies or just unexpected things that are going to throw you off your course, these too will pass. They will stick around, it might be for a long time, but they will pass as well. Sometimes we feel like we cannot catch a break because everything's going on, things aren't going in our favor, but this too will also pass. And then also the feeling that things are all too hard, things are too much. But I want to tell you that, just because things are hard today doesn't mean they can be hard tomorrow. This too will pass. There's a great quote from Thomas Edison, and it says, "Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time." And there's the classic story there where he went on to, make the light bulb work, right? I believe that's the right story. I don't want to butcher that, but the idea is you want to keep progressing. It doesn't have to be perfect every time. It doesn't necessarily have to be the same way, but the idea is not to give up, just to try one more time, adjust a little, adapt a little, and see how you can go. It was the other week I was having a wonderful chat or conversation with someone, and I actually have blanked for who that was with. But we were talking about life and things in general, and how in life we have our ups and we have our downs, and in particular, how we forget how good we have it, and how majority of the time we have it really good all the time. And when you reflect back and have a look over your years, and obviously this will be different for everyone, we've all come from something different and we're all living a different life, but when you look back, we think about the good times, and the good times we refer to when it's a highlight, or when it's a peak moment, or a promotion, or something very cliche. That's what we perceive as a good moment. But, a lot of us, we're taking these things for granted every day because we have so much that we don't necessarily realize is a positive and always a good thing. When you look back and have a look at, how good we actually have it, think about it. How much times do things not go to plan? How many times do struggles here and there pop up? How many times are there unexpected twists and turns? How many times are you not able to catch a break? And how many times are you feeling like it's too hard? Look, it could be a lot of times, it might not be a lot of times, but I don't want you to take that for granted, the times when you actually have it really well. But even if you are struggling through these times, even if you are feeling like things aren't working in your favor, things aren't going to plan, this is rough, and this is not what we want, right? But the perspective that I was challenged with, what I was talking about, was taking things for granted. You see, naturally, we're born with a left and right hands. We have two hands. Naturally, we don't think anything of it. We just assume, yep, cool, we've got two hands, we can do what we do. And when was the last time you actually stopped and thought to yourself, you're so grateful for your hands? Or really took the time to appreciate that you have two hands? Because we never do it. We never do. We take it for granted, and we assume that they will always be there. We assume that they're always going to be there. But if we lost one, imagine the mindset change of how we would think. We would think my life was so much better back when I had two hands, or I had it so good back then, or imagine the things I could have been doing, or now I have to work harder to get everything. And I am generalizing here, but the point is, sometimes we have a bad day, or a bad week, or a bad month. Look, it could even be a year. And we get into these deep valleys of things not going in our favor, or not going to our plan. And things are rough. Life is rough. That's the way it is. Life is tough. But coming back to this, our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time, which is by Thomas Edison, as I said before. So when we give up, we actually do give up. We let go of our chance, the opportunity, or the path of being and becoming who we want to be or what we want to be. So you need to be willing, as I said at the start, you need to be willing to pivot. You need to be willing to adjust. You need to be willing to zoom out and reflect, refocus, slow down, or maybe you need to speed up. But you need to be willing to find that new groove or cadence to get you back into that, opportunity and chance to get to where you want to be. Of course, it comes with action as well. You see, when we become complacent, when we become comfortable, and we start to take things for granted, we are at a bigger risk of losing them. And why? It's because we naturally avoid failure. The fear of failure stops us from moving forward into deeper waters or getting uncomfortable. When you've got something good, you don't want to lose it. So we tend to just stay where we are and don't push outside of that. Because as soon as we start pushing out, we're getting uncomfortable. We're having to try new things. We're going to have to fail quicker. You're going to have to make mistakes to get ahead. But we tend to stick to what we know because we're too scared to make those, new, that new encounter or that new embarking to something new. We're too scared of what lies on the other side. So as I said, we tend to stick to what we know, and we go into this auto mode, and we become, a victim of quicksand. We get stuck and we just continue to sink, and we get complacent. What I'm implying is that no matter if you want, something of, something normal or extraordinary differences in your life, in your career or in your personal life, you have to strive for more than what is comfortable, right? Unless you just are happy with what you've got. But I think to be happy with what you've got, you need to understand what you have, right? And I think that's super important because a lot of the time we look around and we see all these other things that we want. We see all these other things that people have and we think we want. But when you actually tie it back to, the things that we actually want, that your dreams, your goals, your passions, you have to strive for more than what is comfortable. Settling into a comfort zone is not a way to achieve it, right? You can't just expect things are going to happen if you're just going to sit around, right? But things will pass, right? Things will pass, as we said. Tough times will pass, good times will pass as well. In either situation or in any scenario in between, you might find yourself, slowly sinking into a routine, going through the motions, and before you know it, you're neck deep in the quicksand, and it's too late. You're already complacent, and you're getting comfortable with being comfortable. And I'm not here to say that you have to be hustling it out and being crazy and pushing yourself to limits and overdoing it. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm trying to help you understand is if you have ideas, if you have dreams, if you have goals, if you have ambitions, if you have passions, the usual spiel that I share, you have to take action and work towards them. It doesn't have to be massive action. It doesn't have to be, big, bold, and courageous. It can just be one step towards that direction. The other thing you need to understand is when things take a turn of delay, or you get a pushback, or you hit an obstacle, or you're challenged with something that's limiting your progression, this is when you need to adjust. You cannot just sit and be comfortable and expect things to be better, or get better, or change. Change comes with action, and change can be good or it can be bad. So to take it a full spin, to kind of bring it back to where I'm trying to help you guys understand and get your head into, is things will pass. The good will pass simply because we get comfortable, but also because of changing circumstances from the world around us. However, when we start to get uncomfortable, things won't seem like they were good. That's because you're in new territory of growth. And this is a good place to be in when you're feeling uncomfortable, when you're feeling like you're stretching yourself, a little bit scared, there's a bit of fear, a bit of uncertainty, but that's where you want to be. That's a good place to be in. But remember, the bad will also pass too. When we keep moving, we got to keep progressing. If you're stuck in a hole, do you stop trying to climb out? Do you Stop trying to do anything to get yourself out, or do you just let yourself sit there and rot? The bad will not pass by just sitting and waiting for something to happen, expecting things to change, and you won't help the change occur in the first place. So please consider this today. If things feel great and that everything feels in order and that there's no problems, take gratitude right now to acknowledge this and appreciate and reflect on what you have. You also now need to review where you are being complacent and taking things for granted. It's a very tough exercise to do because we think, I've got plenty of time for this. But things changed instantly, really, really quickly. And it can be quite a emotional and deep thing to do with yourself to understand, what are the things you are taking for granted and what are the things that you haven't been, taking gratitude for. And there is nothing wrong with enjoying much needed downtime, taking a rest and stepping back. I'm not talking about taking a rest and stepping back. I'm talking about do not get complacent with just doing something and expecting so much more, right? What I would actually encourage is as you progress, as you reach a new peak, before you embark onto that next level of where you're going to have to stretch yourself, get uncomfortable, take rest, take recovery time, then progress. It's good to clear your head, get yourself ready for that new journey ahead. Now, if things feel bad, if things are not in the position that you want them to be, you need to identify what you have, what you are grateful for, and understand your current position. You need to reflect on the gap between where you are now and where you would like to be progressing towards. And then the catch is you need to start chipping away at that gap to progress in closing it, of climbing yourself out of that hole or getting the help you need to get you where you want to be. And then, as I said, once you reach that new peak of wherever it may be from where you started, take rest, recover, then you progress onwards again. I think you've got this. I think you can do this. And, it's not easy. It takes a lot of work, but I think understanding the good and the bad of life, the ups and downs, it teaches us a lot. It helps us understand that, it keeps us honest. It helps us understand that things aren't always going to be pretty, but things aren't always going to be ugly either. If you want to chat about this, if you've got some comments, you can hit me up on my socials. Otherwise, if you are watching this on the YouTube, you can drop a comment down below. I really do appreciate you listening to this. And I'll catch you next time. Cheers. Now, if you didn't know, we do have the podcast merch, and this is with a key focus of enamel pins. Now, if you haven't checked these out, make sure you do, because the intent of these are really just to be a small token and a reminder for you to charge on, to push on, and to further your lifestyle. Whether it is a gift for someone else to encourage them, or maybe to inspire them, or maybe it's a way to motivate yourself, or you can simply just make a purchase to simply support the podcast, which would be greatly appreciated. We do also have some sweaters and some long tees, so make sure you check it out. Link in the description and in the show notes. Really do appreciate it. Cheers.